Welcome back to Maxs Garaj Mahal, and as you can see, there on the old seat of the Hustler Raptor SD60, there's a pair of sunglasses and my personal reading glasses. So we're going to tell you about, that is an upcoming video on where we're going to put the sunglasses and or reading glasses for spares, because every time I turn around I'm bending over and the reading glasses or the sunglasses are popping out of my pocket. Next thing you know, you've got scratched lenses. So we're going to store on this lawnmower right here a way to store and a place to store extra set of sunglasses, or maybe even the ones you're using at that time. But that's not what this video is about. This video is because people keep asking for a step-by-step how-to on this voltmeter. Let's turn it on and see if it has any volts. By golly, I believe it does. At this time, the battery's got 12.2 volts stored, and this has two USB ports in it. And I'm hand holding this camera, so you know how it is with me, you're going to get jolted around. So what we're going to do is we're going to disassemble this dash. Not disassemble the dash, but remove the dash and show you how to do this. But at this point in time, first we're going to show you what's going to be required. So let's walk back over here to the roll around workbench storage cabinet, and if you'll bear with me, I'm going to put this camera on the camera mount on the tripod. Just see how bad that gets, because I know how it always upsets you guys. Probably not you as much as it does me. Hate to jolt you all over the place. Now I'm going to show you what is involved, and hopefully maybe I can get a little bit closer yet. Hang on un momento, we'll see if we can't get that done. Alright, now there you go. Maybe that'll do it. Okay, so what we have here is, and I really need to turn this monitor around so I can see if I have you in frame, so bear with me just a moment. Production company here, well, I'll tell you what, it sucks. But, you know, considering it's the old fat and ugly crew, yeah, we all know who we're talking about here. We pretty much do the best we can with what we got, and we're not going to complain about it. We're just going to keep doing it as long as the good Lord allows. And it looks like we're good. Okay, so here are some of the tools you're going to need. And I stripped this while ago, pre-stripped it, so I'm going to set this over here. And we've got, if you notice, we have two voltmeters here. People ask me all the time why sometimes I have two, and I always test one against the other. And here's something that you might find interesting. One has bare testing contacts, and one has the contacts covered up, all except for the very tip here. And let's see if I can get you a little bit closer. Okay, these are bare. These happen to have shrink wrap over them to keep them from being exposed to making contact and shorting something out. So that's the reason why those are that way. You don't have to do that. It's not a necessity. It's just a safety feature that I've done to my voltmeters. Now, you will want to use these to determine where you hook up your voltmeter, because you only want that voltmeter on when, of course, the ignition switch is on. And you don't have to have it on when the engine's running necessarily, and that's the way I hooked mine up, so that when it's on I can see where the voltage is at in the battery, how much I have at my disposal. So we're going to use a wire cutter stripper. There's a pair of them here. You could have, there's all kinds of those things. There's hundreds of them on the market. And you got the good old-fashioned electrician's side cutters here. Mine was loaned out. They threw it in the back of their truck on some carpet. I found it about 6 months later, and it no longer looked like new. It still, it was froze up. I had to free it up. That's life. Okay, now this is the panel, dash panel, from that lawnmower right over there. And as you can see, it's been altered to have various kinds of switches put in it. And it came from the factory with the, this is where the choke was located, and this is where the amp gauge was at, or the hour meter. And this is a cutout. It's already pre-stamped into the back of your Hustler Raptors. This is pre-stamped, so all you've got to do is go in here and cut this rubber coating over, which the rubber coating basically is there to have a place to be the templates to show you, like, this is your ignition, this is your throttle, this is rabbit, that's fast, this is turtle or off, that's slow to stop, and this right here is where you started your blades, where you pulled up on your electric blade engagement. This is your warnings, and of course these are your warnings as well. And that's basically all this dash is. It's a piece of 11 gauge metal that's stamped, and it wasn't ergonomic to me. The ignition's back here, the throttle is here, the choke was over here, and this little motor runs extremely lean, or rich actually. So you started it, but you had to choke it when it's cold. So by the time you got the engine started, you didn't really have enough time to move your hand over and shut the choke off. So when we get over here to the other dash, I will show you how I've made a more ergonomic dash. Now you're going to need some jumper wire, and it is a voltmeter, so it doesn't need to be very large. This right here happens to be 18 gauge. It's pretty light. This happens to be 14 gauge, and it's very stiff. You don't need anything this heavy. I've just got this on here to show you what we're going to do. We're going to strip this back like this, and then we're going to put the appropriate connector, female spade connector on it. And let's see if I can show you over here. You've got three different sizes. You've got the size 16 to 22 connectors, the 14 to 16, and the 10 to 12 connectors here. And you'll see, I know you need me to zero you in a little bit more. And these are the connectors, and for each one of those we have the appropriate color of heat shrink. And the reason why I do that, if you notice the first ones I showed you, the connector has the coating sheathing all the way over it, all the way up. This is my preference. But you've noticed in some of the other videos where I have stretched the heat shrink wrap so it would go over the non-protected areas. And I always do that so that you end up with that connector completely covered, so that when you look at it, basically all you're seeing is a rubber coating, so that it is, or a plastic coating, so that it is protected. Keeps you from shorting something out while you're working. Very, very important. Okay, now you can do the same thing, by the way, with electrical tape. If that's what you have, please do that, because all you're going to do is you're just going to take it like you would with any other electrical wrap, and you're just going to wrap it around until you've got that protected. Problem that is, now you've basically covered up. You still have some color left, and these colors are really not important. This is just denotes the wire size. However, you can do color coding on your mower to make it more easily readable to you to know where you're at and what you're doing at each particular location. So bear that in mind as well. Now, as far as removing this panel, it's pretty simple. This panel goes back into a cutout in the rear of the right fender. It has one singular bolt. It is 1/4 inch with a 7/16 inch head, and you can use various tools. You can use a 7/16 inch socket and ratchet. I chose a little 1/4 inch here because it's out of the way and we're not going to use it anyway. You can use, if you got the fancy little ratcheting 7/16 inch tool, you can use that. Or if you're old school, regular old 7/16 inch end wrench. Or if all you guys remember, we've done this review on the Bisway batteries, and this Bisway battery right here is going to be on this Milwaukee impact wrench with a light on it, and that's what we're going to use to remove this dash. So we're going to go ahead and move over to the other side of the mower over here, and we're going to take the dash out and show you what's below there so that we can show you what you want to do to hook that up. So let me reset. We'll be right back. Or not. If you're Maxs Garaj Mahal and you happen to have one of these ergonomic, one of the very first few ergonomic dashboards, then the dashboard required a quad of screws to help keep it lay flat. They didn't have the reinforcement in the very first prototypes, and for those that went out to people that tested them, I'm the only one that experienced that because I put too many things in one place. But I like my things to do a lot of different things all at once. So basically, being greedy is not necessarily always the best thing. So here we go. Now we're going to pull this loose right here. Make sure those screws are back far enough. By the way, there is a Super Z outside the door here being used commercially, and guy's doing a fantastic job with it over there, looks like. I'd be glad to show that to you if you like. Really, it's not pertinent to this video, but hey, what the heck. Alright, so here we go. We're going to pull this forward. Now way over here is the voltmeter. Here's the hour gauge. So let's see if I can get that up far enough for you to see this. And I should have washed this under here, huh? Okay, well, I put tape on this too to mark where they come from, because I've had the dash out several times, so the tape looks pretty raunchy. Let me see if I can find you a light where you can see in there, otherwise we're going to be blind. Be right back. Alright, since I mentioned the Super Z, for all you Super Z fans and owners, I thought I better get out here and at least get a shot of that thing. Otherwise I'll probably never hear the end of it. There she is right there. This thing is brand spanking new, about 4 to 5 weeks ago. And this gentleman, which is right over here, is just putting up, I mean, that gentleman is really using that mower. And he does a fantastic job with it, as you can see. And that's the plug for the Hustler Turf Super Z. Alright, back to your voltage meter. Alrighty, here we go, guys. Now I'm trying to hold this light and hold up the, it's going to be a good trick for you guys, but we'll see if we can get her done. Maybe, maybe not. Sure not wanting to cooperate, is it? Alright, so here's the temporary gauge, hour gauge that's on here, and I've replaced the factory because two different dealers left the key on in this thing. So therefore I have more hours on the original hour gauge than on the mower. So this gauge is on here to run it until we have used up all those spare hours, and we'll put the original gauge back on and it will then show the correct hours. So here we go. If you notice right there, you've got two hot wires. One is original, orange goes into the hour gauge here, and then it's got a second wire comes out of this. My production assistant really is not doing a very good job, are they? Let me see if I can manufacture something here to keep that in place. Alright, so this is doubled coming out of this connector, the hot side, and it runs over to right here, which is the hot side of the voltage meter right there. Then this ground goes over, and I've got it connected to the ground side of the hour gauge. And at that point in time, when the key is on, I put this back down and get this back in the hole where it belongs. We didn't want that on, but while we got it, for you guys that don't remember, this old lawnmower has emergency strobe lights on it for when you're mowing out next to the street. Keeps me from getting run over. It also has tail lights. All this is all wired in properly and through, it also has headlights. Alright, and I can power on and off this 12 volt socket here, right there. Okay, so let's go up here one more time, see if it's still operating. Turn the key on, your voltage shows. So that's all there is to it. We do want to go ahead and give a plug again to Visway batteries. We want to give a plug to, let's see here if we can't get it right down here. Mass FX tires. They are fantastic tires. These things, guys, are really, really soft. Had someone on our Hustler Lawnmower owner group, it's actually called Hustler Mower Owners, said these are inferior tires. I must disagree, and the reason why I disagree, these things are operated on on ATVs, UTVs that are running out there 60, 70, 80 mile an hour. These are not meant for the highway. However, these things rock climb, they hill climb, they run through the mud. They sit outside year round for sometimes 15, 20 years on people's four-wheelers and on their side-by-sides. I've had to learn that new term, side-by-side. And they sit on all kinds of equipment. And I've seen, just a few days ago, I saw a skid steer with 4 of these on it. And he said that those tires had been on something like 8 years, and they were still about a half tread. So I told him that I didn't think he used it much. And then he took me around behind his shop and showed me where he just got through doing 7 acres of dirt work with it. So I guess I probably ought to take that back. But anyway, these things are super, super soft. The sidewall, this is a 6-ply. Most of the time you're not going to buy anything stronger than a 4-ply. But this is a super strong tire. Again, want to give a couple of the companies we work with plugs. We also want to point out that we have these, and let me get this out of the way. I know these shameful plugs, right? But I want to point out on this Hustler Raptor, that you have this great big spot. See, I can stick my foot into right there, which means I could also stick my leg in there, get my foot and leg in there that deep, which would put your foot into about like that. That's a long way. So I'm trying to promote as much safety for the end user, the owners, as possible. So if you don't have something like this on your mower, on your Raptor, I know Hustler cringes every time I say this. That's okay, because I know what's going to happen eventually. Someone's going to get a foot, leg, telephone stanchion or something like that in there and tear up jack, and we don't want that to happen. So please do something like this on your Hustler Raptor. Keep that foot and leg out of there. As you can see, that helps. Don't do it this way, because that's not going to help you. That's not going to help you. But this is the Maxs Garaj Mahal HDPE deck scallop block off plate. So that's one more look at the old mower. And we appreciate you coming by Maxs Garaj Mahal. Hope you'll come back and see us again. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't. Share, hit that like button, and please come back and see us one more time at Maxs Garaj Mahal. Thank you. Y'all come back and see me here.